Okay, as great as Themify is, there's still the need sometimes to do custom CSS. So the CSS is basically stylizing your site, and sometimes you still have to get into a little bit of customizing. So I'm going to show you a few little tricks with Themify to be able to do that. Now, normally a developer will go in to customize it, and they'll actually go into appearances, and they'll go into editor, and then they'll go down here to the style sheet and they'll change it. However, as you can see right now, there's a new version to Ultra. If I upgraded my Ultra, it would replace the style sheet that's here. So how you get around that is you overwrite this style sheet by going into Ultra right here and then going into Customize. Now, in other videos, I've shown you this area, but I want to show you one other place here, and that's this Custom CSS. So right here, we can go into the Custom CSS, and you can see I've added a little bit of code, and you can basically one of the things that I don't like about Themify is that they don't have margin or padding setting for the logo, and I wish they would add that. So to overcome that, say we wanted to bump it down a little bit. Now this one looks pretty good the way it is, but say we wanted to bump it down a little bit. I'm in Chrome right now, and I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna choose Inspect Element, and you can see I've got it pretty much on there. I'm going to go into Site Logo, and you can see this is an ID. There are classes and there are IDs. So there is one ID on a page, but there can be multiple classes on a page that are all the same. So say you had a whole bunch of columns and they were each, you wanted all their style to be set the same, then you would do that as a class. But if you just wanted to change one of them, then you would change it by its ID. And divs don't necessarily have to have IDs or classes set on them, but that's a great thing about Themify is they have basically gone in and done that to almost everything. So I'm just going to double click on this, and you can see it highlighted just site logo, and I'm going to do copy here, and I'm just going to get rid of this a little bit and go down here, and because it is an ID, I'm going to put # and that name. If it was a class, I would put a period, a dot, and then the name. And then I'm going to do open and close brackets. And let's say we wanted to bump it down just a little bit. I'm going to do margin, top, and if I did 10 pixels, and that might work. However, it's not working in the preview here, but let's see if it worked here. And no, it didn't. And the reason is that there's another CSS that's overwriting it. Now, normally if you do it afterwards, then this one would overwrite that one, but we're going to make it a little bit stronger, and I'm going to go ! Important. And that's going to tell it that, hey, I want you to do what I tell you to do. Now you can see that it did move a little bit there when I do it. And so you can see I can bump it down, I can do all kinds of things like that. So that one is now overwriting it, and now let's change one other thing on this. Now one thing it does do is Themify tries to put the logo in here, and it tries to keep it within a certain height. And so let's go in and let's change the width a little bit of this. So we're going to look at this again, and I'm just going to bring this back up here so we can see it. Now I'm not changing the width of the box, I'm going to change the width of the image in the box. So we're still going to use this. I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to bring that down here. Now I could add other style parameters inside this bracket, of course, but I'm going to add one other thing here. I'm going to say image, and I'm going to open and close my bracket. I've got a nifty little tool here. This measures pixels on my screen. So right now it's currently at about 228 because I'm measuring the shadow as well. So it's currently about 228 approximately. Let's bump it up to 250. You can see that did it right there. So that's basically how you would change the size. Now, if that didn't work, then of course all we need to do is just put that in there as well. that will say, hey, this is important, make sure you try to do it. Now the problem is if you have multiple things that are important and they keep trying to overwrite each other, then you can have problems. One thing I want to point out here, now this is Chrome, and Firefox has a version of this as well. And just to show you again, all I did is I right-clicked on it and I inspected it. And then that showed me what object it is that I need to change. Now, if I was not successful at doing this here, and I can look at this over here and I can say, well, let's see, what am I doing wrong? And say I want to tweak this. I can actually go in here and I can test different things over here by changing them over here in this little edit area. And it doesn't change anything permanently. All it does is it changes it just on my screen so I can see if it's the right thing that's doing the changing. So for example, if I wanted to turn this off, now this is this right here, it's showing me it right here. So if I wanted to turn it off, do that and that turns it off. Say I want to set this, I just clicked on it so that it highlights it, and it puts kind of a box around it. Say I want to make that 100, and so you can see it's not changing it permanently. Even if I click off of it, it's not saving it. And this really has nothing, this down here has nothing to do with Themify. This is just a developer's tool that Chrome has built into it. So this doesn't really have anything to do with Themify. Once again, it's just there just to help developers see what's going on, what needs to be changed on the page. So now let's do one other thing. Let's say we want to look at this right here. We want to change something about maybe the text size or something. So you can see that, yep, you heard me, it's right there. It's in a span. And if I click on it, I can kind of go through and see what parameters in the CSS it's following. And you can see that right here, this one's crossed out because it's being overwritten somewhere else. But we can kind of we can look at different font sizes and stuff like that, and you can see this is the site description. And basically, all you have to do is you can come in here and you can say site description, and you can change it over here as well. Now remember, IDs start with the pound sign, and a class would start with. So I can really do this one either way because it's got a class in there with the same name as the site description. And so one thing, if we wanted to find out the size of this, we would basically need to make sure that there were no divs that were actually closing off this box. We can test it with over here. We can go through and we can find a width, and we can say, okay, what's the width of this one's not really being blocked off by anything. So we can say, okay, what's the width here, and maybe it's being blocked off by this right here. So we can say the header bar only goes out so far. So let's see what the width is on that. So the header bar is top. It's float left. There's zero margin. So let's just go ahead and try to set up a width on this now. So I'm just going to put it in right here. So header top bar, header bar. So one thing you do have to be careful of is if you change it here, it could change it on every page. So you want to be careful not to just change some box randomly, because it could change it a whole bunch of different places. So let's go with 600 pixels and see if that did anything. So you can see now when I hover over this, it highlights the area up here, and you can see that it is a lot wider now, and so that gives us more space. One thing we can do for the tagline, though, I believe this, the tagline doesn't even have any styling as well. So let's go ahead and stylize that just a little bit here. So I'm going to just go, we're just going to click on this, and just so I can show you, I'll just do font size, and you can look up the different tags. They're pretty basic to what they should be, and we'll make this 18 pixels, and you can see that it hasn't changed anything. So let's make sure it's important, and there it is. So that's basically it. So you may have to come in here and tweak some things out a little bit to get them to work properly in Themify. Themify is really good, but every theme is not going to be perfect for exactly what everybody wants it to do. I get people that come to me and say, I need this to look like this. Well, I use Ultra a lot of times as a starting point, even though it's different than what they have. Another great thing that I'm going to show you in this video really quickly is we're going to go ahead and, well, we don't really need to save this. It's just a test site anyway. I'm going to close this just to give you more screen here. And I'm going to show you in this Ultra hooks. And so we're going to go into Ultra here. We're going to go into hook content. Now, say we want to place something above the logo right here. We want to have maybe our phone number or something like that. So we're going to put it in the header start area. And so let's close this. And we're going to choose header start. We're going to go and whoop, there it is, save. Let's take a look at it here. And there it is. Now it did bump it over, and so we'd have to go into styling. But you can see it actually places it really before the logo. The logo is actually ended up bumping it over because it's trying to be float left. Anyway, so you can put things in different places. That's just the point that I want to make. You can put things in different places by using hooks. You can keep them, and that'll be something that will continue through every page that we go through, so you can see that hook stays. So anyway, that's just something I wanted to show you as well if we're talking about customizing and trying to change things up a bit, and that's how you would do it.